What is going on, guys? This is Retro Bliss Rewind. I'm Retro Bliss. We're going to have a fun episode tonight. We're going to talk about the Intellivision Homebrew Awards in this podcast. And so without further delay, let's just bring in the panel, Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala and Casey, the Intellivision Gamer. Now, I have to say, Brian from BD Retro Mods was going to be here, but he's not feeling well. So we send our thoughts and prayers to Brian and hope he gets better soon. But I told him, don't you worry about it, man. We got this. We can fill the hour with probably no issue tonight talking about this topic.
For sure. And I also told him it's A-okay because I'm only 75% here because the Leafs are playing.
If the Cincinnati Bengals were playing during the podcast, I would probably do the exact same thing.
I'm dedicated to the podcast, though. I'm going to be present.
Yes, yeah. Much like members of Congress when they're there, that's how they vote. Present. Okay.
Yeah, the Intellivision Homebrew Awards. So I did a stream on Sunday night. It was a late one, again, because I had to watch the Leafs game before I did that. But I've learned some stuff even since I did that. So this is going to be an interesting one. But
I must say, if you guys like Intellivision, you definitely want to make sure you're at least subscribed to Casey and Mike's channel because
for sure.
Mike, every year he does a show where he does his voting live. And I think it's a really good show because he analyzes and deliberates with himself during the show.
Even
and then afterwards,
even if
he second guesses
I regret
himself.
it. and I'm not going to say that I regret any of my votes. Absolutely. The stuff I voted for, good games. But especially after thought afterwards, it's like, you know what? I shouldn't have focused on this. I should have maybe focused on that, at least for Game of the Year. Game of the Year, I've reconsidered a bit, even though Casey paid me $5 to vote for Pyramid Warp.
I'm still happy with your pick.
That's fair. That is incredibly fair. And you are absolutely right. I'm pretty well connected in the Intellivision homebrew community, and I still get my news from Casey. So everybody should be subscribed to Casey.
Now, I'm sure Mike has probably done this. If not, he will. There's a link in the description of our videos because we simulcast over on Mike's Gaming Gala. There's a link in my description where you can go and vote. Now, if you're a Democrat, vote early and vote often. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry that I don't like to be political, but I had to say that. Okay. What I want to say about it before Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to say this. If you go to the link, it'll take you to the Atari Age forum section where you can vote. And if you're not familiar with the games, that's okay because out of all these games, I actually own only one. So, but there are links in the under each category that has videos of each game that's in that category. So it's still a fun place to be and a fun place to vote.
And at the very least, a great way to learn about a lot of the homebrews that are out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are on a fixed income or something, you go like, what game should I get? Help you make a better informed decision on which homebrew or homebrews that you would like to buy. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So why don't we start off by looking at the games that are eligible for the Homebrew Awards. Not all of these games were nominated, but there's a couple things of note in here. Number one, games like Norseman 2 and Pyramid Warp. They were actually 2023 releases, but they were not mailed to anybody until 2024, so they're considered in this competition and not the previous year's competition. if you're rich, and in some cases, if you can get in early and just be lucky that they actually ship it to you, Cote gamers, yes, you can go and buy all of them. It is entirely likely that there will soon be a big rant video on my channel about Cote gamers because they have ghosted me for 2 years. Anyhow, but another thing to note is there are very, very few original games. So much
Meaning what, Mike? Explain yourself. What does that mean?
meaning not ports, not
Hacks.
hacks or stuff like that. Like for instance, Death Star Strike, Beauty and the Beast Pro. Those are examples of hacks. Donkey Kong 3, Pac-Man Anthology, and yes, Pyramid Warp. That was one that I wasn't familiar with.
Me either.
And Time Pilot. These are all ports. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, it kind of shows a lack of originality. Like even Pumpkin Bakery, that's Tapper. It's a reskinned Tapper. But that's not to say that they're bad games here, but it does mean that we do not have an original category. And I am not, I've only really been following this for the last 2-3 years. It is a little shocking that we have so few original games that we don't even have a category. And on my stream, Harvey Decline, 511 Under, he makes games, but he also produces boards. He mentioned that, and I think I agree with him that even if there's only like 3 games, there should always be an original category.
Yeah, I could agree with that. You got to showcase the original games, no matter what.
Because the Homebrew Awards, they do 2 big things. They encourage people and they reward people.
And Intellivision was known back in the early days for a lot of originals. So to continue that tradition,
maybe
I think they were.
There were certainly a good number of original games, but it really it's something that I think as a community we should encourage more. That is not to say that any of these games are bad games by any stretch of the imagination. I just would really like to encourage originality where we can. The other thing is, and this is my bad, like ColecoVision Homebrew is known for a lot of ports of MSX games because it's quite easy to port them over. And that is coming into the Intellivision community more, which is great. MSX is a system that, at least in North America, a lot of us won't be familiar with that library. So in many cases, it's new games to us. And MSX for me is a big blind spot, which is why I did not know that Pyramid Warp is a direct port of an MSX game. And so if you watched my voting on Sunday, I probably wouldn't have made that my, spoiler alert, Game of the Year choice, but I will keep quiet about until we get to that category, about talking about what I would have chosen instead. But yeah, these are the games that are eligible for you to, or eligible for the awards, not necessarily nominated, but eligible for the awards.
So how many categories were there?
There are 7 categories.
Okay.
Casey, you want to tell us you've got it written on paper there. You want to tell us what the categories are? I've got the slides.
Yeah, we have best graphics, best action arcade game, best action/arcade game, best port or conversion, best platformer, adventure, and puzzle. We kind of put 3 into 1. Best sound and music, best physical package and extras, and Game of the Year, which is the big one.
Game of the Year is the big one.
And I'll be honest, I voted for every category except for that one.
Which is why I had to take screenshots from my stream on Sunday to be able to show what's in each category. Yeah, I did that. Like when we popped on here, I was just copy and pasting.
He's like, you didn't vote yet, did you? Because when you vote, after you vote, You
can't see them anymore.
You can't see the nominees for each individual category, and you can't see the results. So you can't see either one.
Correct.
So I think they need to work on that.
Whenever you asked me to come on, I made sure I didn't vote yet. I got everything printed out kind of on Excel and Word, and I have every piece of information we might want to know ready.
Oh, so you could have brought these up.
Well, I can't. Well, I mean, I guess I
Well, you could present and then we bring it on, but that's okay. I've got screen grabs of them so we can see what's in each category. So first category that we'll talk about is best graphics. So we've got Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, we've got Pyramid Warp, we've got Grail of the Gods, we've got Aklabeth World of Doom, and we have Time Pilot. Why don't you? So I personally, I think one of these stands head and shoulders graphically above all the others. But what do you guys think of these?
Go ahead, Casey. Or do you want me to go since I'm the least knowledgeable of all these?
Show. Go ahead. I mean, I have an opinion too.
I'll go ahead and then I'll let you go, and then Mike can bring up the tail here. But when I looked, I like I said, I only own one of the games that were in the competition, so I'm like, I have to look at these videos. So and you have to understand too, just because it has great graphics doesn't mean it's a great game.
No, but this is the graphics category.
But if you're voting on graphics alone,
in this category you should.
My thought was Ghostbusters Ultimate. It just looked so good. I mean, it looked almost like a NES or a
I would argue, and somebody in my chat actually mentioned this.
Better.
I would argue that it looks better than the NES version, in many ways, at least.
Yeah. So it looks great. It looks great. So that's who I went with.
What about your thoughts on any of the other games graphically?
Well, like Time Pilot. I liked it because it was so close to the. I liked it because it mimicked and looked. It looked like a very good port, and so graphically, I thought it was very similar.
I like the fact I was not expecting this from the Intellivision port of Time Pilot, but it has that little between stages where you kind of warp out and that black line comes across.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that. You look at a game like Load Runner, there was no effort put into any of the transitions between the stages. Whereas graphically, Time Pilot, and let's not poo-poo Time Pilot. Time Pilot is an accomplishment, especially to make it feel as good as it does feel.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're talking about graphics, but that Time Pilot game, whenever you're playing it with a disc, it's like it was made for that disc. It's one of the best controlling games I've played in a long time.
It does feel really
because
good.
In most controls, it's either right or left to rotate the ship. So are you saying that the discs, you rotate the ship based on the disc alone? I like that.
It's really nice.
You almost use the disc like a spinner. Almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for myself, for the graphics, I think 3 to 4 of these games are all pretty close, but Ghostbusters does stand out for me as well. I mean, it's really, really well done graphically, and I mean that one just is the only standout. I love all these games. I played every single one. Especially Time Pilot, Grail of the Gods, and Pyramid Warp and Ghostbusters. I played those more. I just recently got the other. But yeah, definitely Ghostbusters all the way on this one.
Yeah, I have yet to really dive into Aklabeth. I've played it a little bit, but man, and I mentioned this in my stream too. I think this is up for another category, but I might as well say it now. Grail of the Gods is it's a very surface experience, but is an incredibly great Zen experience.
Yeah,
it's a dungeon crawler with none of this, I've got to make sure I have this and that, and I have to find these items and equip this and all. No, you just go around and fight what you see and try to get to the exit and find the grail. And you can do it with just your keyboard. There's no action buttons. If you're emulating, I was emulating when I was streaming, and you just sit back and it's a really nice Zen experience. But I agree with both of you guys. There is a hands down winner here. I don't think it's even close. And I think that winner is Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, I think they really took advantage of the color palette of the system, and they knocked it out of the ballpark. So.
Sorry, go ahead.
I got something that I wanted to read before we started, and I kind of forgot. Is it okay to?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just kind of like show a little bit of stats for the awards. There were 27 eligible games. 16% or 16 games were nominated for at least one category. That's 59% of the games. Only 8 games were nominated for more than one category, most of them being in Game of the Year. The game with the most nominations was Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition with 6 nominations across the categories. Tied in second place were Pyramid Warp and Akalabeth World of Doom with 5 nominations.
Now, is that the official pronunciation? Is it Akalabeth? I've always said
That's
Akalabeth.
how I pronounced it.
Even Albert says it's like, well, this is what I say. What do you say? It's like I hear it. He says I hear it multiple ways. No one really knows.
Potato.
Yeah.
Okay.
I call it Akalabeth. I don't know what I just said, but Akalabeth.
No, yeah, that's what you said. Akalabeth. I kind of do.
Akalabeth. I hear. There's another one I hear too, but
fair enough. So, it sounds like the three of us are pretty unanimous on best graphics, and that would be Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition.
Yep.
All right. So, the next category is Best Action Arcade Game. And here we have Time Pilot, we have Pyramid Warp, we have Buck Rogers' Planet of Doom, we have Pac-Man Anthology, and we have Donkey Kong 3. Why don't you guys start off?
I'm gonna start. My pick was Time Pilot. I just thought Time Pilot was a good port, and I love shooters. I'm a shooter kind of guy. I really love shooters. So now Donkey Kong 3 technically is a shooter, but I didn't really think that it stood up to what Time Pilot was.
I'm resisting the jokes.
Yeah. So
it hurts me, Phil.
I know, because this is PG, right? So
yeah, I would have thought at your age you're more of a dribbler, but okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Mike's gonna.
You know what? I'll.
Yeah, but he can see himself back in. So
yes,
that was my choice. Like I said, I had to rely on the videos, and like I said, in each category there is a video. If you aren't familiar, you can get familiar by watching the videos and watching the gameplay by the different videos that are there.
You can at least see each one in action. If you're, some people are just going to vote to what they're familiar with or what they know or what they've tried.
Yep.
But if you want to see them in action, you can at least see each game. They're all there.
Yeah. And I'm very familiar with Time Pilot, and it's not about necessarily how it looked. It's just when I was watching the gameplay, I thought it was so faithful to the original, and I just thought, and it's a good game and it's a shooter, so that's what I picked. So
all right. Your thoughts on any of the other games there?
Well, Buck Rogers I've never played it, but it looked like a Polaris.
Yeah, but
on the 2600, but
Buck Rogers was really a really uninspired port. Honestly,
yeah.
You may really like it. Like if you like the source material, you'll like that game. But I found it to be pretty bland, to be honest.
And Pyramid Warp, that's kind of a adventure game, right? If I remember right.
Action. This is a combined category. It's action and arcade game. It's all in one.
Okay. All right.
So you got a mix here.
Yeah, the others just didn't stand out to me. Time Pilot just stood out, even after looking at them and thinking on it.
That's fair.
That's just what I went with.
All right, Casey, your thoughts.
I actually have a lot of experience with every game in this one. Some of them I was early testing, and I mean, Time Pilot, phenomenal game. I love shooters. I'm like Phil, and how well it controls with the disc. I mean, that really, I love it. Pyramid Warp is one of my favorite games. It is my favorite game by far from Cote Gamers. I love the randomness. I did not know until you told me a little bit ago that this was a port.
Yeah, and
I
actually,
still like playing it.
the first person to tell me, credit to Big Doomer. He actually commented and posted a link to the MSX version.
And Buck Rogers, I'm not in love with it, but I like it. There's not much like it on the Intellivision, so it's fun. I like seeing things that are a little bit different than the normal.
You don't think it's like Star Strike or Death Star Strike or?
I would rather play Buck Rogers over Star Strike easily.
Fair enough.
Pac-Man Anthology. I love Pac-Man. I love these. Okay, we're gonna do something again, but let's make a whole bunch of different games in one compilation. I like that. I was playing it early on.
That is really good for increasing the value of these,
yes,
particularly of hacks and more basic ports.
And I can tell you insider information, Pac-Man Anthology 2 is being worked on, so I'm really excited for that one too. Donkey Kong, I like how Brian's Man Cave took a game and then also added to it and made it his own. There's other levels that are not, he created them. My favorite is that conveyor belt level where you've got each layer go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And I like how he added to it. Yeah, he took a game, he gave us the game and added to it as well.
I would like to tell Brian that I already sucked at Donkey Kong 3 and I didn't need conveyor belts to make me suck even more at it.
It's hard.
But I do appreciate when it's not just a straight port, that there's something added. So
yeah, you give a little more value to a game that we've all played many times and replayability. For me, this one, I think for me it's Time Pilot and Pyramid Warp. I like them all.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to pick because those are two different styles of games. And I would have a hard time, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, between Time Pilot and Pyramid Warp for me.
Fair enough. So I believe on Sunday I ended up voting for Pyramid Warp on this one. But I would agree that for me anyway, it's between Pyramid Warp and Time Pilot. Pyramid Warp has that kind of Tutankhamun feel to it. Knowing now that it's a MSX game, would kind of put it more level. I thought there was a little more originality to it, which is why I picked it over Time Pilot. But they're both excellent ports. But everything in here, except I suppose Pac-Man Anthology, because there's some Pac-Line games in there that are a little more original.
Minor little games.
Yeah. It is there's no original games in here, so it's really and that's what makes it difficult for me to vote for like in an awards where everything's a port, because how do you separate what's from the original, like the source material, which admittedly is the most important part of any port, is picking a good game to port, and then what was added, what was done to make it a little different. And if I was, so this is best action arcade game, not best port. So I mean, I'm pretty happy with my Pyramid Warp vote. I would have been happy with a Time Pilot vote for me as well. I think there is one that is definitely at the bottom of this. Not that it's a bad game, it's just uninspired in my opinion, and that would be Buck Rogers. But they're all good games, especially if you like that type of game. But yeah, for me it'd be Pyramid Warp or Time Pilot, and Pyramid Warp got the edge from me on Sunday.
For me, I mean, I know these are awards, so we're just comparing the different categories. Yes. I know original is always better if it's another good game, but I try to distance myself from those kinds of thoughts and just, okay, these are the 5 games.
What do I like most?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our next category. Best port or conversion. I had to take all these screen grabs from my live stream, so pardon the fact that Lode Runner is highlighted. That is not a recommendation or anything like that. It's just that's the screen grab that I took.
Well, since I've gone first, it would have been a great recommendation in my opinion.
Oh, fair enough.
It would have been a very. As a matter of fact, that's what I voted for.
Okay, let me read the games first. I read the games. I'm glad you voted, Phil.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to read the games in the category first.
Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, Time Pilot, Lode Runner, Eggerland, Mystery, and then Buck Rogers
Planet of Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I voted
now
for
you
Lode
go
Runner.
ahead.
I voted for Lode Runner.
And what's your thoughts on everything here?
Now, but disclaimer, that's the only one I own. But it's so much fun.
It's not a bad choice.
I have a lot of fun playing that game, and I mean, Time Pilot I would have loved to. I think it's an excellent port, and it was kind of very close between the two, in my opinion, for me. But I went with Lode Runner. Hello, Oni.
What do you feel about the other games there?
I liked Eggerland Mystery. It just I kind of like I'm not a big adventure gamer, but
Eggerland's more of a puzzle game.
Okay. Yeah. See, from what I could gather, it was an adventure game from the videos, but if I'd have known it was a puzzle game, then maybe I would have given it more consideration. I know graphically it's probably superior to many of the games in the list here. It has some really good graphics in that game, and the sound isn't too bad either. So, but yeah, Lode Runner. That's what I went with.
Casey, what are your thoughts on this category?
Again, I've played all of these pretty decent amount. Ghostbusters, I love it. It's a good game, but it's not my favorite type of game. Graphically, it was superior. I chose that going to choose that in the other one. For me, it's between Time Pilot and Eggerland Mystery. I love puzzle games. I love shooters. Like we talked about, Time Pilot's well done, controls well. Lode Runner, I had no history with before. The first time I ever saw it or played it was just recently. Whenever I got it for Atari, and then I got it for Intellivision as well. And I had no experience with it. I like it. Eggerland Mystery, I think it's well done. I love different puzzle games and using your brain, figuring things out. Buck Rogers, like you said, it's not something that it's just something to pick up and play and move around and shoot things. And I like it better than a lot of the space games on Intellivision. Is it great? Not in my opinion, but I like it. It's something you just pick up and play for a little bit, and that's it. But for me, this one would be between Time Pilot and Eggerland Mystery. And like I said, I haven't voted yet, so I haven't really fully decided on what I'm going to do.
Okay. So let me pitch something to you. This is one of the categories that I've thought about a little more. And so the category is best port or conversion. The category is not best source material for a port.
It's the closest one to the original, right? Is how I would view this.
Well, no, I would say the game that was ported the best.
Yeah.
So you have to separate, and this
if you
this
like
might
it or
be
not.
the critic. Yeah, you have to separate what you think of that source material and just look at how well it was done. So my thoughts on this is Buck Rogers' Planet of Zoom. I've said before, I found it uninspired. If you like it, great. There's nothing wrong with the game, but it's uninspired for me. Eggerland Mystery, very direct port, nothing added, but very competent, looks good, plays well. Lode Runner, good port, pretty. I did a two-parter review. I reviewed the 2600 Lode Runner and I reviewed the Intellivision Lode Runner. If it weren't for one feature, the 2600 Lode Runner would have blown the Intellivision one out of the water.
I think graphically it's already better.
Like
for the 2600.
Yeah, it would have been no contest if it weren't for the level builder.
Level builder's big.
I would love to see Luke hire somebody to add the feature where you could generate a code from your level, and then you can send codes to your friends or post them on the forums, and other people can play your levels. I think that would make it S tier for me. But somebody after my review also posted, because they were astonished that I beat level 16. There are only 40 levels in this version of Load Runner. Again, whereas the 2600 version has over 150. But you have the level builder, right? Like that's the game changer in it.
Replayability.
But Load Runner level 16, you have to at the end drop into this middle kind of chasm at the top and get the last gold bar in order to climb out of the level. And the programming of this version of Load Runner is really direct in that the guys just always move towards you, which means that unless one of them glitches out, which it turns out on my gameplay, one of the guys glitched out on one of the ladders, they will always be waiting for you when you jump down in the chasm, meaning that level is not beatable unless something like buggy happens. So with that in hindsight, again, I think probably the source material of all of these, Load Runner is hands down the best. Load Runner is a phenomenal game in any instance. But I think compared to the others, the port is not as high quality. Time Pilot is an excellent conversion, nothing added, but also nothing really taken away. It's excellent. Whereas Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, I am not a fan of the source material either, but they have added so much more. There are cutscenes, there are slates, there are 20 plus voices. Those voices are me, which should not detract from the accomplishment
We won't
here.
hold it against the game.
Yeah, don't hold it against the game. I know it makes it worse, but in terms of the best port or conversion as opposed to best source material for a port or conversion, I think there's really nothing you could vote for other than Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition. Personal opinion, of course. But that's just my thoughts. You can vote whatever you like. I'm not here to tell you otherwise.
No swaying the vote.
This is my second stream on it. I'll sway what I want. Thank you. Next category, best platformer, adventure / puzzle. I found this category so funny when I read it. But the contestants here are Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, Load Runner, Grail of the Gods, Eggerland Mystery, and Aklabeth or Akalabeth, World of Doom. Phil.
Okay. I was not real impressed with Akalabeth.
Okay.
It just, I don't know. There's just something about, if I'm going to be in a 3D world, I want to look more 3D.
It looked, what I do like about Aklabeth is that it looks like that 80s 3D environment that you always would get in games. And I love that about it, but fair enough.
But I never liked it. I mean, even the early Doom, it's like now not there were certain aspects of early Doom that I didn't even like. There were a lot about it I did like, by the way. But now Grail of the Gods looked very intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think that it would be best out of this category. And as far as how the game played, I wasn't sure how I would consider Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition. So I voted for Eggerland Mystery.
It's a solid choice.
It was just like a process of elimination is how I picked. But again, as much as I liked Load Runner, I I don't necessarily consider that much of a platform adventure. It's more of puzzle, but Eggerland, even though it may be puzzle, it seemed more of an adventure game to me, and so I thought, well, I think that's probably a better game.
All right. By the way, Eggerland Mystery is 100% a puzzle game. You move the boxes and then activate the thing, and then you
Yeah, I
escape
watched
each
the
level.
video, but apparently not long enough. So.
Fair enough. All right, Casey, what are your thoughts on these?
Again, this is the year I've probably played, most all the games to a pretty good, amount of hours. Ghostbusters, surprisingly, is probably the least. I have played it some, but just whenever it came out, at the time I was busy. But it's great. I like Ghostbusters. I had it on NES. Load Runner, I'm new to. Grail of the Gods, I had never played anything like that before. Like you said, it's a good pick up and play game. You can play it for a while. You can actually beat it in a fair amount of time. Eggerland Mystery, I really like puzzle games. It's well done. It looks good. A Aclabeth, whatever you want to call it. I agree with you, Phil. I'm the same kind of way, but it is ported. It's well done. It's a great game if you like that kind of game. I appreciate it, but it is not really a game that I never gravitated towards early on. I would be playing different type of game.
Whereas Grail of the Gods, you could consider a top-down dungeon crawler. Aclabeth is like a first-person dungeon crawler.
Yes, and all those had to start somewhere, and that's the type of game it was whenever they started. But I appreciate all the work it went into it. It's just not something that I'm going to pick up and play all the time. Yeah. For me, this one would be probably Eggerland Mystery.
Okay. Yeah, so my thoughts on this one, I'll be completely honest, I forget what I voted for. But this one, again, whereas the previous category was best porter for conversion, this is just straight up best platformer, adventure, or puzzle. I find it funny that all three of those were combined. And again, the committee has to choose these categories and what goes into it based on the games available. So, I mean, I'm not going to criticize the fact that it's just they are some very different types of games.
We didn't do the categories. We didn't. We, as a committee, we didn't do the categories like that.
Okay, who sets the categories? If you were allowed to tell us,
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to. I don't even fully know 100% who's involved, but I can tell you that whenever there's a good number of us, and we get all the possibilities for each one. We vote so many for each one, and then each one gets a numeric value. They tally everyone together, and then that's how they narrow it down. So you can vote
to the top
an
5
even
in
amount.
each
There's 5 for every category, 10 for game of the year, and that's how it usually works. And it's like sometimes you're gonna have, like we had best original game. Sometimes you're gonna have something heavy in one category, not the other. I think they do their best to try to keep everything there and combine them. So when you only have a handful of games each year, it's hard to have all the different categories.
Yeah. So my thought process here, is that this category, because it's just saying best platformer, adventure, puzzle, this includes the source material. Whereas I found the best port or conversion is best voted on not including the source material. Like you're judging how well the conversion was. Whereas this, you're looking at the whole package. And the biggest part of that package is going to be what the source material was. And because of that, for me, I would agree that Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, just not being a fan of the source material, it is a beautiful game. If you have not entered yet, I do have a 5,000 subscriber giveaway. Go to the video on my channel and type "he slimed me" in the comments. You'll be entered to win that. So for me, if I was going to pick what I had the most fun playing, Load Runner is up there. I love Load Runner. I kind of prefer the 2600 version, if I'm honest. The big thing I love about it is a slightly unrealized potential in that level editor. Grail of the Gods and Eggerland Mystery is probably the two games that I had the most fun with. I forget which one I picked, but I mean, I'd be happy with either of those. And it's possible I also picked Aclabeth because I do like Aclabeth, but I haven't really dove way too far into it. In terms of what I pick up and play the most, I'd say it's Grail of the Gods. But there are no bad choices here.
No.
Yeah.
And for me, like when I'm voting, it's like I'm viewing most of them like that. What did I have the most? What game brought me the most pleasure? What did I want to go back and play? What did I think about, playing more? I try to vote like that for most of them.
Yeah.
I know that you dive in a little deeper and have a lot of process. For me, I'm just like simple, and I like which one did I enjoy playing the most, unless it's a specific category.
And it's because of the role I've kind of taken on in the community, which is the role of the critic, right? So I have to be critical and hopefully not just completely biased. And that's why I do look at, okay, there's that potential bug. I'm not 100% sure that it's a bug, but there's that potential bug in Load Runner, and it could have been a lot better on the Intellivision, I think. Whereas these other games, like I try to view it critically as opposed to just what did I like best in every category.
Yeah, and for everyone voting,
but in categories like this, you kind of have
combined.
to lean on what you like the best.
And everyone's allowed to vote if you want to critique or just do originals or just do whatever you like to judge them by.
Yeah, you don't have to vote
fine.
in every category if you don't want to either.
They ask that you vote for game of the year, and then all the other ones preferably, but they ask that everyone votes for game of the year, which is the big one, but everyone's allowed. You can vote for however you want. If you don't even have to watch the videos. If you like one of the games and you want to pick it, and whatever you feel like doing, you should at least watch a video on all of them. But whatever you want to do.
All right, next category, best sound and music. I do want to mention, I mentioned this on my stream because it is noticeably absent for me in both the graphics and the sound effects, sound and music. This is not Casey's show, but there's his mail call for next week. It's getting ready. Here's a question: does Al still run the forums? As far as I'm aware, I think he still does.
Yes.
He is supposed to be transitioning out of that, but to the best of my knowledge, he still is. Noticeably absent from this category and the graphics category, I think, is Napoleonic Wars. Now, granted, I have heard criticisms of it. Well, it's just Stratego. Okay, well then Eggerland Mystery is just Eggerland Mystery and Time Pilot is just Time Pilot. Like that's a source material thing. The stuff that went in, like there are 8 music tracks. There are a whole bunch of slates that Justin Cheer put together. It looks really good. Like added effort was put in to make the actual field look better. There was a lot of effort put in that. I don't think it would have won either category because again, this is a category that I think there's one that stands head and shoulders above the others, but I would have liked to see it nominated personally.
And believe me, there's a lot of games that don't make the top 5 that there's a number of people and it's all a number system to get to the top 5. Sometimes there's close to a tie. Sometimes there's like a whole bunch of them that are right there and you just pick the top 5 based on everyone's votes. But yeah, and this one, I always find the hardest one to judge. To me, out of all the categories, this one's the hardest one for me on games that I haven't played a bunch. It's like, crap. And then you feel like I have to go. Sometimes you have to get really into it and just really pay attention, where a lot of times for me, music's the music. And, it's like I'm just playing the game and I don't pay attention to it as much as some people do. So this one, I always find the hardest to nominate.
Yeah. So the games here are Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, Pyramid Warp, Voice Anthology, Aklabeth World of Doom, and Pumpkin Bakery. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a category that I think I'm probably fairly qualified to make a good
yes, you're the
choice.
musician in the group.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, there wasn't really a big a lot of competition here. Now I'll tell you who came in second, and that was
Sure.
Pumpkin Bakery, in my opinion. I liked Pumpkin Bakery in general as far as the sound and the music in the game itself. The other three that I didn't choose were somewhat unimpressive to me, and I think that had a lot to do with my choice, which was Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition.
It
It
was
just
because of my voice, wasn't it?
well, if I had I known. No, it was I based it mostly on the music,
You
so
based it.
I based it. Yeah, that's right. BASS. But that was my choice. I don't think it was even close. I think Pumpkin Bakery did come in second, but it wasn't a close second to me. It was just there was just no doubt in this one.
Casey, your thoughts?
Like I said, this is the one that's hardest for me always. And a couple of these I hadn't played a whole lot, but I think there was a clear winner in this one as well, for me. And yeah, I don't see a whole lot of competition there on this one.
And was that clear winner the same as Phil's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Again, 20 voice. Forget who did the voices. 20 voices in 20 original voices in a new Intellivision game. Great music. Utilizing the ECS. Phenomenal game. I think Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition should hands down win that one. All right. I think this is our this is the penultimate category. Best physical package and extras. Here we have Burger Time Special Edition, Ghostbusters Deluxe White Box, Aclabeth World of Doom, Pyramid Warp, and Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition. Phil.
Well, this is another one that was kind of a clear winner for me.
Okay.
I will tell you who came in second place, and that was Pyramid Warp. I thought Pyramid Warp's packaging was very well done and unique.
Cote Gamers makes really cool packaging when they mail it. Yep.
I liked it a lot. I liked it, but the one that just, I mean, again, it's I hate this. I hate to show love for something that all the time, but when it it isn't bragging if it's true, and I think it's Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition. That's who
Was it Ultimate Edition or the White Box?
The White Box, whatever.
The White Box. Okay, so Ghostbusters Deluxe. They're two different games.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't. I'm looking at my StreamYard and I'm reading the list, and I didn't see it was the White Box. Yes.
Okay, so
it was the White Box.
It kind of fun. I think it's pretty obvious, but Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition was made as a response to Ghostbusters from Inti Home, which is a profoundly mediocre port of the Atari 2600 game. And the person who made Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition wanted to show what the Intellivision was capable of and what the franchise deserved, quite frankly. And so, don't get me wrong, the packaging for Ghostbusters Deluxe was phenomenal, but it really was really nice, putting lipstick on a pig. Personal opinion.
Oh well, yeah, but
it's fantastic. And Ghostbusters Deluxe Black Box, which is basically the exact same thing, just black.
Won
last year for packaging,
and well deserved. I mean, it is. It is a great package, and that's what we're looking at here: best physical package and extras.
Yep.
But for me on this one, sorry, I'm skipping.
Yeah, no, it's your turn. Go ahead.
For me on this one, it's hard for me to vote for the same thing again, just a different color box. Is it the best? Yeah, maybe. But for me, like it said, every vote's individual. I have a hard time voting for something that I already voted for last year when it's just a different color box. And I'm jealous because I wasn't able to buy said white box. I was told I could only buy one copy, and I thought that meant that one too, and I never even inquired. So I skipped out. My bad. Yeah, all these look great. There's not one dud in this top 5 for physical packaging. You think there's a dud?
I think there's a dud. I was pretty vocal about it on my live stream, but I'll wait for my my part.
Well, I haven't chose mine, and I haven't really sat there and looked at them all. I mean, they're all right here.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm pretty much. I tell you the one that, and whether it's fair or not, that's the one I won't be voting for. The
Yeah.
other four, I have to look at them really good and close, which I haven't done yet.
Fair enough. I feel the same way about the Ghostbusters Deluxe White Box. I voted for essentially that same packaging last year.
Yep.
I don't think just changing the color, it should win 2 in a row.
It's
So
because of when it came out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, like, let's be completely honest. If it wasn't for that reasoning behind it, I would vote for it again. It is the best packaging here, I think,
Yep.
hands down. A instant no from me is Burger Time Special Edition. I think that is a whole load of bullcrap. There was some comments on one of your things that Dino asked you to delete, and that's your home, and you deleted. But I make it perfectly clear what I think of that garbage. Very thin cardboard. Like, even you see the picture of it, and the thing's bowing because it's not thick enough to keep its rigidity. Repurposed brochure from a couple years ago, no instruction manual, an admittedly cool 3D printed cartridge, but cardstock overlays. No, that does not deserve to win. And so of the remaining 3, I picked, Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition was really, really cool. I love the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man inside. That would probably be my second place. I kind of just went on box art, but I ended up choosing, as you can see here where my thing was, Aclabeth World of Doom. I really like the artwork on that box. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah,
So
it looks
that's what
good.
I picked. Not that there was anything special about the package that was provided, just the artwork was really cool. So I voted for that.
I mean, it was really good artwork, but I went with more the packaging itself.
It's totally fair. Yep. And considering,
But
like,
we
I don't
voted
know
for
if
it
you
before.
voted, I don't know what you voted for last year, Phil, or if you even voted, but
I did.
So
I don't remember
for Casey and I, the only reason we're not voting for this Ghostbusters Deluxe White Box is because we voted for the same packaging last year, just in a different color. All right, now the big one. This is the one that really matters. This is for all the marbles, and this is the one where I think I screwed up on Sunday. Not that I'm upset that I picked what I picked.
I wouldn't say screwed up. Maybe would have made a different choice, but
yes,
I
would have made a different choice. I'm not upset with my choice, but I would have made a different choice. So for Game of the Year, we have Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, Time Pilot, Pyramid Warp, Grail of the Gods, Lode Runner, Agerland Mystery, Aclabeth World of Doom, Norseman 2, Buck Rogers Planet of Zoom, and Block'em Sock'em. Phil.
So, hey, real quick.
Oh, yep.
What do you guys think about if I read real quick the winners from previous years before we get into the category?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so previous years since 2011, 11 was Donkey Kong Arcade, 12 was Christmas Carol versus the Ghost of Christmas Present, 2013 was Super Chef BT, 2014 The Caves of Croz, 2015 Piggy Bank, 2016 Sydney Hunter and the Sacred Tribe, 2017 Organ Bound, 2018 Minor 2049er, 2019 Defender of the Crown, 2020 A Tale of Dragons and Swords, 2021 Intellivision, and Sorrow of Godland Thur.
That's so
digital.
bad.
That one they separated physical from digital. They made it 2 different categories in that year. 2022, the Pandora Incident, and 2023, last year's Game of the Year, Dragon Quest.
And there are some phenomenal games that have won this in the past. And that legacy is part of why I wish I had voted differently. But Phil, what are your thoughts on these Game of the Year games?
Hands down, Block'em Sock'em. No.
There are 2 games that honestly I think shouldn't even be on this list, and that's one of the 2.
I was going to get to that. It wasn't even nominated as a port, a good port, which is
Yep.
what it is. It's a port of a game
Yep.
on another
By
system.
Brian's Man Cave of John Hancock's.
It's not how well it was done. It's just I played that game on multiple platforms, and in 30 minutes you can beat every one of them.
Yep.
And it's just unimpressive to me, and it's not a knock on Brian's ability on that game at all.
Mhm.
I wish he has more talent in his little pinky than I have altogether. But I started looking at the different nominees in this category,
Mhm.
and I thought overall, what if would be the game that I would get based on the categories that were in this competition. And I had to go with Ghostbusters Ultimate. That's just the way I went. I like Time Pilot a lot. I like Load Runner a lot. From what I've seen, not real impressed with Buck Rogers playing it too much. Calabitha, and Grail of the Gods. It looked good, but I'm not really like an adventure gamer too much. And,
that one would fall into the adventure category.
Yeah. So I it just, to me, it just there was no other choice I could
competition
make.
for it.
Yeah, I had to vote there. Actually, I haven't voted yet. That's what I'm going to do. Actually, I haven't voted yet. I was going to, and then
you left this one main category, right?
I
You voted
did.
for everything else.
Yeah, but that's what I'm going to choose.
Casey, your thoughts on what's here?
Oh boy, it's a big list. It's hard to narrow down.
This was the hardest one for me to narrow down.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, and like I said, I have enjoyed at least playing somewhat all of these games. I would say the top for me, and I'm viewing this as not necessarily the one that's most impressive this way or that way, or I'm just viewing what do I like, what am I happiest that came out that I get to play it. And for me, it's Pyramid Warp, Time Pilot, and Eggerland Mystery are my 3 favorite games that I just love playing. And it doesn't mean they're the most well done in any category. It's just my personal preference of the type of games I like to play. And I haven't decided what I'm going to vote for, but it's one of those 3.
Okay. My thoughts here. There are a lot of great games here. I personally think that in a Game of the Year vote, I mean, not that they're going to win, but Block'em Sock'em and Buck Rogers, Buckham Rogers, and Buck Rogers don't even belong on this list. They are not of the same level as the other stuff here. There are some great games here, but again, they're like all ports. Every single game on this list is a port, and I was not totally sure about that when I was voting. And that is Jeremiah Tom. We do 1 week on the Nintendo Switch, and he is dogging us about being retro. Get over it, Jeremiah.
Retro Bliss Gaming.
Yes, but we're allowed to talk about what we want to talk about. And so, like, everything here is a port. And for me, what I ended up voting Pyramid Warp. But that's it's because I thought, like, I ended up saying, I want to vote for what I think is the most fun. But in hindsight, Game of the Year is a special kind of award. And I think something more than just, oh, this was the most fun should be winning it. It should be, okay, this was an accomplishment. This represented the pinnacle of what came out in any given year. And for me, Ghostbusters was groundbreaking. I do not, yes, I am well aware, Jeremiah. I am well aware. But Ghostbusters, it's the largest Intellivision game ever made. They were bumping up against the limits of the JLP card. Yes, there are two, but here it's the largest. 20 voices, ECS compatibility. Here's something I didn't know: the password to resume your account, it is compatible. Like if you played this on the Commodore 64 back in the 80s and you still had that password, you can resume your game on Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition. It is
Oh,
compatible
wow.
with that. Yeah.
I did not know that.
So for me, if I was to rewind and go back to Sunday and vote again, instead of voting, because admittedly, I am not a fan of the source material. I know there are a lot of people who are, but I was never a big fan of Ghostbusters back in the day. But for the accomplishment that Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition is, I do think it should win. And if I were to go back to Sunday, I would vote for it. I'm not upset that I voted Pyramid Warp. Even it being a port, I had a lot of fun playing Pyramid Warp.
A very unknown port, which to me is better than a port that everyone knows if you're voting on ports or originality.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, if I were to go back in time, I would vote Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, and I do hope it wins because I believe. Excuse me, got some hiccups going, but I do believe that it represents the pinnacle of what came out in the Intellivision homebrew scene in 2024.
This just in: there's a DeLorean parked out front of Mike's place. Just activate the flux capacitor. Go back in time, baby.
A friend of mine who used to live like 3 blocks from me, but he moved to Miami a few years ago. He had a DeLorean done up fully like the Back to the Future DeLorean with flux capacitor and everything. So I used to drive around in that every once in a while. So a few years ago, that would have been a very possible thing.
They had one on display at the Midwest Gaming Classic. They had several cars like Jurassic Park, Wayne's World,
I have the Jurassic Park
It was
Jeep.
cool.
Yeah, they had them there last year too. And I remember like the Jurassic Park Jeep had the wrong wheels and it had a bunch of stuff. And the DeLorean.
Yeah, they did say they're not originals. They're just there, look cool in picture opportunities.
I am a part of the Replica Prop Forum, and I used to run the Toronto Prop Expo I ran it for 12 or 13 years. Yeah, so I'm very picky when it comes to replica movie props and stuff. But back to Intellivision, Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, in my personal opinion, taking my bias even completely out of it, in terms of accomplishment, it is the pinnacle of 2024's homebrew availability.
Yeah, and that one had a phenomenal team behind it. It was a big effort.
Yep.
They really tried to push the limits of everything. Like you said, it's one of the largest games ever done on Intellivision. And I mean, a lot of work went into it. And if it was based on that, I think that would easily be my vote as well. Like I said, I just vote a little different. If I look at all those games, what do I want to play the most? What am I happiest this year? That's how I vote. But if I was voting like that, Ghostbusters 100%.
Wow. Sounds like we're all on the same page there. Sounds good. Well, you guys, what are your choices? These are just our opinions based on, they have more experience with each game, but, you have eyes and ears. Even if you don't have these games, you can look at each category, and there are videos for each individual participant in that category. So you're more than welcome. And anyone can vote. Anyone can vote. So
I'm going to quickly respond to this. Ghostbusters for the Intellivision is very close gameplay wise to the Commodore 64, but visually and from an audio standpoint, better than the original.
It has excellent music in that.
And Mr. Postal picks Load Pilot.
Let me say it this way. There are when a game is programmed, there are what's called voices. Basically, it's not someone's voice, but each individual note is considered a voice, and each system, like the 800XL, you can only play 3 voices at once. So if you were wanting to do a chord, like a C chord or whatever, you could only play 3 notes of that particular chord. And so when I listened to Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition, I heard harmonies in there, and it was really, really well done. I was just so impressed with. I mean, that's why I picked that.
Yeah,
for
utilizing
best music and sound.
utilizing the ECS.
Yeah,
Makes that possible.
It's an amazing feat. So, you guys need to check that out. There's a link in the descriptions of the videos where you guys can go vote, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We are more than happy to have you comment on our videos. Let us know what your choices for each individual category are. We'd love to hear from you. So I think it was a great show. It would have been better had Brian been here, but I think it went well. I think it went very well. And Casey went, especially when you're talking Intellivision, he just adds so much to this podcast. And I just appreciate him so much as not only a content creator and a fellow panelist, but also as a friend. He's just a good guy. And he's one of the true blue guys. There aren't too many more that can beat Casey. So, although he didn't, when he went to the Midwest Gaming Classic, he didn't make the hairpin turn to come to Cincinnati, Ohio. It was only that far on the map. I don't understand.
Couple inches, I could have been there, Phil.
Which, by the way, I mentioned the Midwest. I got a message. I think Korgs is happening this year in September.
Okay.
So
you can make it a birthday trip for me.
Well, like I told you earlier, if you're there, I'm there. So I'm definitely going to be there.
That will probably be coming, considering there's new hardware coming to the Intellivision that
what Casey, he introduced the IntelliPort on his channel on Monday, yesterday. And
but Phil, I hope you know what we really need for the Intellivision is a port of Video Olympics, which is superior in 4-player gameplay to Warlords.
Gee, I wonder why you said that. All right, guys, listen, I appreciate both of you guys. Brian, get better, man. We want you to get better. That's all that matters, man. This is just a show. Your health is more.
Hope you get well soon.
Yep, get well soon. So
definitely not the same without him here.
That's right. All right, guys, we'll see you next time on Retro Bliss Rewind. Take care.